What's up guys, I'm Blacklist Dan and welcome back to my channel. Today's episode you join me in the middle of Bournemouth and the weather is absolutely atrocious, but I'm going to pan the camera around so you can see exactly what I brought, because I know you lot are more excited about this than I am. Look at that. So this is an E46 convertible, but you're thinking, why have I brought this car? And it's mainly because if I open this up, you can see it's a left-hand drive. So finding one of these cars in the UK is extremely rare, and to find one in a manual is even rarer. So you can probably guess what's going to happen with this. Once I get an M3, I will be swapping all of the left-hand drive stuff over from this car to an M3, and then it's going to be probably the only one in the UK with the conversion done that's going to be a GTR as well. So while this weather is absolutely tipping it down, we're going to skip this part, we're going to go straight back to the unit and I'll give you a good look around the car and show you exactly what I brought. So here we are guys, we're now back at the unit. The weather's brightened up for us, which is quite good. Me and Jack are now going to unload this E46 and get it off the trailer.
Unknown brain, Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You go.
While you guys have just been looking around the outside of the car, I've put the car inside the unit now, so I can properly show you what I've spent my money on, and also the interior of this car. So this is hanging off, that's not supposed to be doing that. That's not supposed to be like that, and that's not supposed to be like that. That's supposed to be on there somewhere. But this car has cost me a total of £350, and basically all I need off it is the dashboard, the steering wheel, the instrument cluster, and pretty much everything else for a left-hand drive conversion. That's including the steering rack, the steering column, the pedals, the etc, etc. You get the gist of it. But it's almost a shame to actually pull this car apart, because it wouldn't take a lot to actually get it back to normal. However, the agreement in me having this car is that it would never go back on the road. So it's basically a parts car. This thing was quite sentimental to the previous owner, and they didn't want to see another person driving around in it. So I've agreed never to put this car back on the road, so it's strictly for parts, and we are going to make the most out of the parts. So I'll quickly get out of this thing. It smells like mold in here. And I'm basically going to do a little show and tell of what it is. So this is a 320i. There isn't really much to tell you about the 320i apart from it was incredibly slow. So fortunately enough, this thing has a manual gearbox, which is going to make the swap 10 times easier, because I haven't got to mess around with the automatic clocks. Fortunately, they're manual clocks, so that's going to make my life a lot easier when putting all of this stuff into a manual M3. Now, I'm not going to ramble on about this car and all of the different things that it's got, because you guys aren't really that interested in that. What I'm going to talk about instead is I'm going to try and get a free left-hand drive conversion. And what I mean by that is I've paid £350 for this car, which isn't a lot really. It's a little bit more than scrap value. So whatever parts I won't be using off this car for the left-hand drive conversion, I will be trying to sell to make some money back on. So these wheels are going to be sold, the mirrors, the bonnet, and all the other body panels as well. Maybe even the roof if I can polish it up a bit. But that's where I'm going to try and make some of my money back, and maybe even get a free left-hand drive conversion. Also, the catalytic converters, they scrap for probably around £200 to £250. So I'm pretty much getting most of my money back out of that. But I also have to take into consideration the fuel getting down to Bournemouth, which is like 3 hours away from here, and then the trailer hire and everything else that comes into it. So I'm going to try and sell little bits off it and make my money back. And probably one of the first things we're going to be pulling off this car is going to be the dashboard and the rest of the interior that we're going to need. But I'm also going to get this car jacked up on axle stands and have it in place just so I can get underneath and do the other necessary bits as well to disconnect the steering rack and everything else. So let's do that right now. Now the car's all jacked up, it's on axle stands, we can now start taking this dashboard out. You can see I'm starting to take the seats out of the car now. I've stopped with the dash mainly because I can get better access underneath the dashboard with these seats out. But also I want to show you it's starting to pay for itself already. There's a cheeky £1 coin lurking underneath there. So that's already £1 knocked off the £350 bill. But we're going to jump straight back into it. I'm going to take this seat out and then tackle the dash. While I'm taking this dashboard apart, I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a history lesson. And in order to do that, we're going to have to rewind back to 2001. So this story begins way back in the early 2000s when BMW decided to take on Porsche once and for all. Although the BMW's 3.2 litre straight-six engine just wasn't powerful enough to beat the 911 GT3 RS, they decided to change things up a little bit. They decided to put a 4 litre V8 engine into the M3. This really annoyed Porsche as none of their GT3 RSs could keep up with the M3 GTR. It annoyed them that much in fact that they tried getting the M3 GTR banned from the race series. But BMW decided to make 10 road-going versions with the V8 engine fitted so that it could carry on competing and it met the rules to race. These 10 road-going versions were on sale at €250,000 each, and in today's money you probably won't get one for less than €1 million. So after BMW absolutely obliterated the 2001 race series, winning 7 out of 10 races, the 2002 rules changed, whereas BMW would need to sell 100 cars and 100 units of the engine, an unrealistic proposition. So unfortunately BMW just gave in at that point and they decided not to use the E46 GTR anymore for their race series. However, that's where the next part of this story begins. Need for Speed Most Wanted. Okay, we all know this game and this is what my build is based on. We all know that this car was wrongly taken from us by Razor at the start of the race. But after battling through the Blacklist 15, we did get the M3 GTR back in the end. However, I'm trying to do this in real life. I did build one in the past, but unfortunately it was lost to a garage fire. So I'm going to build another one and this time it's going to be 10 times better. Hence why I'm going through this left-hand drive conversion. Actually, speaking about the left-hand drive conversion, let's see how I'm getting on with the dashboard. So hopefully you guys have learned a thing or two about the E46 GTR and why I'm going through this much effort to do the swap to get it as accurate as possible. Also, you join me at the point now where I'm ready to pull this dash out. Hopefully I've not left anything plugged in, but we're going to give it a pull now and try and get it out. And there we have it. So that dashboard was a little bit harder to take out than I thought, but we got it out in the end. And now you can see what I'm working with inside here. I was going to take this metal brace out and the steering column and then drag the rest of it out as well, but I'm not going to do that because I kind of need the steering column to be attached to it for when I fit it into the new car. You've probably also noticed I've labelled up all of the wires as well that are in here and all of their different functions, mainly because I'm no good with wiring or electrics, so I labelled it all up for my own sake because I can't go wrong really if I do it like that. For now though, what we're going to do, we're going to take all of the wheels off and then get underneath the car and disconnect everything that's to do with the transmission and the engine, and we're going to rip the engine out at some point. But before we do that, all of the panels have to come off, including the bumper and the wings. For now, I'm just going to take the wheels off, so I give myself a little bit more room when I am working on any of the panels or things that are inside there. So let's get started taking these wheels off. Now I've taken these wheels off, I've decided that taking the front end off is going to be the better option here. Mainly because once I disconnect everything from the engine, I'm going to want to just drag the engine straight out, and I don't want to be messing around with that once it comes to it. So I'm going to get all of this off now and make my life a lot easier. There we go. Okay, so the bumper and the slam panel are now off, which means we're gonna have to take the rad pack off next to get access to the engine. But with the rad pack, I've got to drain it from down here, and also there still might be some gases left in the AC rad. Just got to be a bit careful with it, but hopefully everything goes well. I don't fancy getting gas today, so yeah, I'll take it steady. But yeah, we'll start bleeding this now into the bucket for you. Okay, so I'm going to start bleeding the little one at the back, which is a little blue lid. Just got to unscrew it with a flathead, sorry. Almost there. There you go. So if you open the cap on the top of the reservoir like this should come out a lot easier now. See how that's flowing? That's just because there's air getting into the top of it and it's forcing it down, whereas if you just drain it from the bottom, it'd just be spluttering. But yeah, that's draining quite nicely now, which means I can probably take this one off as well. There we go. While I'm still waiting for this to drain off, I'm now going to try and sort the AC rad out. So this might leak a load of gases, but I'm just going to be really quick and evacuate. So I'm just going to undo one of these pipes, or maybe unscrew it from there and let the gases out slowly, and then run the hell over there somewhere while the gases are coming out. But hopefully there's no gas in it because it's an old car. But yeah, I have to be cautious anyway. So we're going to start taking one of these things off now, and hopefully everything goes well. Okay, I'm getting ready to run here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there is still gas in it. Lucky enough, there wasn't really any gas in it, but I've lost the little lid thing down there. So yeah, if you guys don't have one of these, get them. I don't know what the correct term is for them. I think they're a grabber. I call them a pinchy, but yeah, they're brilliant. Ooh. Look at that. Get one if you haven't got one. They're great. So I just thought I'd stop and tell you guys, if you ever want to take a rad pack off an E46, just be aware of these two pipes here, because they're extremely brittle, and over time the plastic gets really weak. So as you can see, I broke this one and the bottom one as well, just because the plastic's just so fragile and it's kind of like just rotted away. So yeah, these pipes are going to need replacing anyway if I was to use this radiator for anything else. I'm probably not, in all fairness, but I'm going to try and salvage as much as I can, just in case I do need it for the swap. So yeah, them pipes have had their day, so I'm probably just going to chop them off there just to salvage the rad pack. That's the rad pack. So now the rad pack and the rest of the front end is out of the way, we've got clear access into the engine now. So I'm going to disconnect everything in order to bring this thing out. And once this is out, then we've got clear access to the steering rack, the firewall, and all the other little bits and bobs that we're going to need for this conversion. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get underneath and take off the prop and any mounts as well. So here's the fun part. In order to take the prop shaft off, I'm going to have to take the exhaust system off and all of the other little things that are under here. So there is still a lot to do in order to get the engine out, but for now we're going to take the exhaust off and go from there. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just want to get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad. Yeah. Baby, I'm bad.
I just want to stay bad, stay mad. Shit on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact.
Okay, now the bumper's off, I've got a lot more room to mess around with the exhaust. The main reason I took the bumper off is because one of the nuts had rounded off for this bracket here. So now I can get much better access to it, so I can start taking it off properly. Okay, that's not coming off. This one might, that one won't. Okay, we've got the one of them off, but the other one is completely rounded. It's just so rotten in there. But luckily enough, I have some of these. These are called extractor sockets. So if you haven't got a set of these, I highly recommend getting some. So what they do, if you've ever rounded off a nut or a bolt and you're pretty much buggered, you can't really do much else, these basically bite into it so you can undo it. If you look at the shape of them, they're angled so they cut into the bolt and you can start undoing them. So I've picked the 13mm because obviously that's what we're using for this, and we're going to see if it can get the rounded nut off. Is that a 13? I think I'm being silly here. No, it's not a 13, that was the wrong way around. Okay, so now I've picked out the 13mm. I'm just going to put it over the bolt and it should undo itself. With a bit of luck. Oh, there you go, you can feel it biting already. And just like that, it's got it. So, like I said, if you haven't got a set of these, get some, they are brilliant. And we can start taking this off properly now. Also, that brings me to the next thing. Yeah, look at this. So here's the next problem that I'm faced with. So that's no longer a bolt. If you look at that, it's just a bit of crust, that's all that is. So instead of wasting time trying to get an extractor nut on that, which probably isn't going to work because that's just going to crumble, I'm going to bring out the big guns. That's the big guns. That's a 9-inch grinder, and that's going to cut through this pipe pretty quickly. So I've got my glasses, and we're going to start cutting this straight away to save the messing around.
Yeah, my life is lovely now, I'm focused on me. You said you were about to die, I guess the car is on E. But see, I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe.
Okay, I didn't plan this bit through. I don't know if you can see, but I'm getting a bit squished by the exhaust, so I'm gonna have to do something here. Ah. Oh.
You so easily influenced, all the times you told me beat it, now you gotta face the music I'm saying. I know that I gotta stay away from that.
Ta-da! Okay, I've got to get this exhaust off me because again, I'm getting crushed. Oh, let's push it off over there. So now that heavy exhaust is out of the way, I can get access to the heat shield and the prop shaft which is behind it. If you guys don't know what a prop shaft is, it's basically what drives the power from the engine to the rear wheels. So this is the prop shaft inside there. I don't know if you can see, it's quite dark in here, but this is the prop and it goes all the way along to the back where the rear diff is. I'm going to get this heat shield off so you can see it properly, and I'm going to start taking it off. Now the heat shield's off, we can start taking the prop off as well. This is a centre prop bearing. There is two 13mm on it. That's pretty simple to take off. And again, there's 17mm here. I'm pretty sure they're 17s. I could be wrong, they might be 19s. It's been a while since I've been under one of these. And this side, I'm pretty sure they are E-Torx bits. Yes, they are. So there's 4 of those, and I don't know if it's in neutral. Yes, it is. So basically what I do, I'll go along here and I'll just keep turning it because the wheels are off the ground, so it's not going to stick. And I'm just going to undo these one at a time, and then this should pop off quite nicely. So here is the prop shaft, guys. Now this thing is out of the way, I can get to the gear linkage that's underneath the car, and then we can finally take the engine out once all that's done. But there's still a lot more stuff to disconnect. Point that right there. Like all of the subframe, the wishbones, suspension, there's a lot of stuff to take off first before we can actually take this out. But we're getting there one step at a time. I'm probably going to do the gear linkage now, and then I'm going to do the suspension components, and then hopefully we can get this engine out. If I'm correct with what I say, the subframe has 2 mounts on it for the engine, and then you've got the gearbox mounts as well. We've already took the gearbox mounts off, so it's just the engine mounts that are on the subframe. The subframes on these are quite nice and easy to get to, so we shouldn't have a problem with that, but I'm going to drop the suspension anyway to make my life a lot easier. You join me back under the car now, as if I couldn't get enough of it under here already. Now we're going to be taking that gear linkage off. So here it is right here. It's not that hard to get off, it's just a little bit fiddly, and it's always worth keeping these little clips here. So these usually pop off and you can never find the things again. Once they're gone, they're gone. So when they pop off, they're gone. So make sure that you're really careful and you put it back on with the gear linkage so you know where it is then for future. Once that's out of the way, you can disconnect it from here as well. But I've got to get on the inside of the car first and take off the gear stick. But for now, I'm just going to take this little clip out and pop it, so I should be able to then lift the gear stick straight out. So I've popped that little clip off now. It's just a little circlip. Just get it with a screwdriver and it pops. And I think I might be able to access it from under here. I'm just going to poke it through and get out. So after taking the gear lever out, I've just discovered it's a short shifter. Look at that. Okay, it's not in the best of condition. It's definitely seen better days, but it's a short shifter, and I'm debating whether to keep that for the left-hand drive conversion, because that might actually work. But then again, I don't know what gearbox I'm going with yet, and I'm not going to give too much away with the plans, but might not be able to use that with what I've got planned. Seeing that short shifter just distracted me, but I'm back on track now. So the engine can pretty much come out once I've taken the engine mount off from down there. I'll probably just zoom in for you so you can see that. There's one there, and there's one on the opposite side as well. Move this out of the way, over there. We'll come back to that in a bit. So the engine mount on this side I can get to as well if I come from the top. So all I need to do then is disconnect the wires and the pipes that are on the back of the engine and all of the other ones that I can see. Lucky enough, the ECU is nice and easy to get to, so all of this can come out in one go. I haven't got to disconnect any wires. There might be a couple earthing points here and there, but that's about it. And then once all that's done, we can just pull the thing straight out. I'm going to bring the engine crane around in a second and just get it on the hoisting point right here. So I'm ready to just lift things straight out and over the top of the subframe. I was going to take the suspension off and everything first, but it's unnecessary. I'm just going to take the engine out first and then take the suspension off afterwards. Oh, and there we have it. That's the engine out, and now we can see what we're up against in here. That was more of a challenge than I thought, but we got it out in the end. So back on topic, everything in here is pretty much different to a right-hand drive version. So this whole firewall here needs replacing, so I'm gonna have to take all of this firewall out. I'm gonna have to take all of the brake stuff, the clutch master cylinder, absolutely everything needs to be taken out of here, including the brake lines, because the brake lines on the right-hand drive car are over this side. So yeah, there's a lot of work that needs doing here, but we're going to get straight into it and start stripping all of this out right now. So as you can see, everything out of here has been stripped, which means I should be able to get what's left of the dashboard out, which is the bar and the heater matrix. But I'm going to need a hand with that, so I need someone to help. And here's one I made earlier. This is Nathan. Oh, hello. So we're going to be taking this out now, so I need Nathan's hand just to pull this while I'll pull the other side. And hopefully this should come out in one piece and nothing else is attached, and hopefully nothing will get stuck. We ready? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Go for it. You ready?
I was born. Hang on, no, I'm not ready.
You're not ready.
I said, hang on. Hang on. Oh, can you? Don't do that thing. You're gonna pull the steering column. Stop it! Stop pulling things.
So yeah, while Nathan's hammering that, I just thought I'd let you guys know there was something else that was stuck, but by the sounds of his haha, we've got it off.
I did it.
There you go. So is it ready to be pulled through?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, that's so much easier.
It's almost like I told you to take the steering column off.
To you.
Nah, it's me. Oh god. Ow. Ah, you've impaled me. Oh god.
Yeah, you grab that side, I'll grab this side.
The door.
Not the door. Okay, watch the outside.
Knocked 50% off the resale value.
And now we've done that, I'm going to let Nathan do his own thing because he's got a drift Volvo to build.
I'm going to do a custom bar, I love you.
So while he's gone to do that, I'm going to take out the heater matrix and the rest of the wiring loom and completely strip it out all the way to the back. We've still got to take off the rear suspension, but that's not really important. You guys don't need to see that. I'll do that off camera. So now it's just a case of completely stripping all this out, and you guys are going to see just how quick I can do it. Watch this.
sill in my ass.
So I've stopped what I'm doing now, mainly because Nathan's coming in, he's trying to scavenge some wires for his build, and also because I've realised I'm not going to need the wiring loom from pretty much this part backwards, because this is the convertible, so most of the stuff back there we're not going to need, and I'm still going to be using some parts of the wiring loom from the M3. I'm going to let Nathan explain the ins and outs to what I'm going to be doing with this wiring loom.
Oh, but only because Dan gets really overstimulated when there's additional noises going on outside, because some people are busy doing things. But essentially what he realised was he's got certain bits that are obviously migrating across, like the clocks and like the steering column electrics, they're all on the left-hand side, and this is a lot to pull and put into another car. So instead of taking all of it, as he said, chop the back end off, but then plugs like the loom, which is over there for the speedo clocks, etc., he's just going to, from a suggestion might I add, he's going to, and this is an example here, sever here and then follow it until its termination point up ahead, and then use the plug along with the extension of wires to run from the left hand side to the right, or vice versa. It's using recycling.
If you got confused by that like I did, what it means is I'm going to use this wiring loom to extend the wiring loom that's on the M3. So it's going to make my life a lot easier, instead of pulling all of this wiring loom out and pulling all the wiring loom out of the M3 and then swapping it all over.
The other benefit as well to that is like plugs like this that are horrible, and if you wanted to take all your pins out, that would just be pain. So instead of taking the pins out, you just colour match all the wires in their various colours to the loom that is on the other end, and jobs are good. And so yeah, sorry, back over to Dan.
So looking at that, it looks a bit like Spaghetti Junction, but at the same time it's not going to be too big of a problem because we're just going to extend the wires.
I used to call this the Dash Octopus or the Kraken sometimes, because of how often I ended up getting wrapped up in all of this.
And with that useful information, we're going to carry on taking the rest of this loom out only to this point. So let's get stuck into it again. Okay, the wiring loom is completely freed up. I've pulled it through from the engine bay now, so there's no more wires in there. All I have to do now is chuck it out of the car, but I'm going to leave it for tomorrow morning, just because the light is starting to fade out there and I'm extremely hangry. So all we've got to do tomorrow then is take off the doors, take off the rear subframe, and take off all of the brake lines, because the brake lines are different from the right hand drive to the left hand drive. You'll understand in due time if you don't already. So it's the next morning now, and we're going to jump straight back into taking this wiring loom out, and then we can tackle the rest of the stuff. Let's do it. Something has happened. Yeah, that's now my situation. I took the doors off and the whole car went meh. So yeah, I've got to find a way of getting this back up the right way now. Oh, but then again, just had a brilliant idea. Look at this. I need to take the brake lines off. Yes, this is not safe in the slightest way, but I've got really easy access now to the brake lines. So do I risk my life to take brake lines off? Yeah, we're going for it. We're going to do it, yeah. All fixed. Okay guys, it's now the day after. As you can see, I didn't chop the bulkhead out yesterday simply because I'd never had the time. But today I'm going to have to do this pretty quickly because someone is coming to recover this shell and take it to the scrapyard. I've probably got about 20 minutes to half an hour to completely chop this out, which isn't a lot of time. So I'm going to get stuck straight into it and we're going to waste no more time. So let's go. Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, now that's back where it needs to be. I can start chopping this other side. Okay, then that is the bulkhead completely chopped out now. So I pretty much just need this. So now Steve has arrived. This is last chance recovery. I highly recommend him for recoveries. He's brilliant. I've known him for years. So he's going to now take away this pile of crap, and I'm going to give him a hand with it as well. You probably recognise him from a few other channels. He does work with Mark McCann as well. He does all of his recoveries. So yeah, we're going to just rip this thing on, are we?
Just rip it on.
Saying about all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you.
And that's it, guys. The car and the engine is loaded. Steve's now just hooking everything up and securing it, and that's it. We're going to say goodbye to this car, and just like I promised the owner, it is going for scrap as well, even the keys and the boot. Steve, that's for you, mate.
Oh, add it to my collection.
So if you guys have liked this video, can you please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because the next video we're going to hopefully be getting the M3 for this left-hand drive conversion. So Steve, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye everyone.
Okay guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching.